GameCast Continuum.
Welcome, everybody, to GameCast Continuum. Thank you so much for tuning in live here on Mixer, watching us on YouTube, or listening on Podbean or iTunes. We are your hosts, MrBojangles 1984, and
Drakedangerson, and we actually did well on that. We need to make it a little more awkward, like every other time.
yeah, it's just not the same if we do it correctly.
I know, bullshit.
Anyway, here at GameCast Continuum, we randomly select some of the greatest games from past and present, and then go into their history in detail. However, before we dive into the fun, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping. We do this podcast live on Sunday nights over at mixer.com/GameCastContinuum. But the best way to keep up to date with the show is to follow us on Twitter at GCContinuum. There we will tweet out changes in the schedule as well as when the episodes are going live and what the next episode will be, especially now that we're coming to the close of our Destiny miniseries. But this week, we will be going into the fourth installment of From Darkness to Light, the evolution of Destiny, and we'll be talking about the Rise of Iron.
Do. Nice. That's right. My iron is rising. Dun-dun-sh.
Yeah, that was a joke in my clan.
Yeah.
Before I joined up with OWBJ. Yeah. But anyway, the Rise of Iron was released to a very welcoming waves of people, and the servers themselves weren't really ready.
Never forget the taper.
Yes, the taper was rampant at that time. A lot of people got stuck in the queue, but this is when they first tried out the queue, though, I believe, also. It was a bit of a learning experience for Bungie. But it was made available on the morning of September 20th, 2016 for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One for the low cost of only $29.99.
I know. It's actually a pretty good price. It's $10 under what the season pass costs for the first Destiny, so good on you, Bungie.
Yeah, it was $20 more than the Dark Below or the House of Wolves, and $10 less than the Taken King also.
Yep.
So it found that middle ground. And the content that we got was kind of in between also, so it made sense.
I was pretty happy with the actual server delay because I was up around the time it dropped, and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to get on for probably a few hours. I'm gonna go make breakfast. And once I was done with breakfast, the game was ready to go. So
nice.
Plus, yeah.
A long wait actually benefited somebody. Who knew?
Yeah. Surprisingly.
But if you guys noticed, we just mentioned their PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and not the PS3 or the 360, and that's because this is when Bungie finally decided to cut the cord and leave those older consoles behind.
Good on them. It's like 8-year-old consoles. It's a pain in the ass to develop for them, especially the PS3.
Yeah, PS3 was a developing freaking nightmare. Now, some of the changes and additions that we got with the Rise of Iron, Bungie themselves never put a year 3 stamp on it. Like, when the Taken King was coming out, they themselves would be like, oh, year 2. But as we kind of touched on last episode, Bungie was trying to get away from that stigma, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, it kind of puts like a weird structure to them. Like, they're expected to like put a year stamp on everything, and I don't think that's the model they wanted to go with after a while.
Well, I think it was once they decided that they were going to do a full sequel to the game.
Yeah.
That they stopped saying that sort of thing, because if they didn't come out with Destiny 2, it would just be the first year of Destiny, the second year of Destiny, and so on and so forth. But with the Rise of Iron, there was no year 3 stamp. Of course, us gamers, we still call it year 3 because that's just kind of how Destiny went. But with this DLC expansion, they bumped us up 50 light levels from 335 up to 385. Woo! Yes, it gave us some grinding to do, unless you farmed Omnigul like some people.
Well, I farmed a lot of engrams, so that kind of
Yeah,
helped me out.
yeah. Um, we got a new PvP mode, which was
Supremacy.
Supremacy. Yes, I couldn't think of it. Thank you.
Hmm.
We got a new strike, 2 redone strikes, 4 new Crucible maps, 1 PlayStation exclusive, of course, and
Well,
a new
they gotta
raid.
get theirs. Oh, the new raid. I can't wait to get to that part.
Mm-hmm. It's the raid I've completed the least in Destiny, unfortunately. I think I've only cleared it maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot.
I think I've looked at my thing. I think I've done it like 10 times.
Okay.
That's probably why I don't feel so burnt out on it too.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I really enjoyed the raid, and we'll go into that more once we get through the episode here. But just like with the Taken King, we got another new social space in the Rise of Iron. This one was called the Iron Temple. It was on Felwinter's Peak. Had some wolves. This is where Aphrodite appears when the Iron Banner came out. Comes around. Oops, Aphrodite. Spoiler. There's a
Spoiler alert. Close your ears if you don't want to hear that.
we also got a new patrol zone, the Plague Lands, private matches for PvP, which people didn't really use all that much. And
Yeah, I
finally,
know.
people asked for can we get custom games? And they give us private matches. Well, there's not enough customization. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, finally, we got a big ass axe.
I know. It's so seldomly used in the game though.
I know.
That's like one of my like biggest like saddest parts of the like this actual release was like they made the axe so prominent, but in the in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't like the most prominent thing.
Right.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, I wish that you could get to use it more. That's why anytime I'm playing in the Archon's Forge, which is another
Hmm.
new thing we got with Rise of Iron, I make sure to take out those Siva clusters, which you guys will hear more about coming up soon. So we get the axes because I want to use them.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
yeah, it is what it is. You know, they gave us
Hmm.
something new. It's not a
They did.
permanent weapon that you can keep in your arsenal, so it
Oh,
makes
of
it feel
course
a little
not.
more special.
Yeah.
What are we going over with gameplay this week?
We're gonna be going focusing on exotics. This is gonna be a I think we've kind of been going on like different tangents with the exotics or with the gameplay portion. This time is gonna be more of a free flowing conversation about exotics. We're gonna go over a few, probably talk about some of the stuff that we liked, some of the exotics we didn't like, or and things like that.
Mm.
Um, Exotic weapons and armor were designed to open up like possibilities to potentially change how some gamers play. Um, as with everything else in Destiny, there were some good things and some not so great things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Ugh. We're gonna cover a few that we found to be the most influential, and probably have a conversation or two about some of the exotics that we ran across that were either hated or liked. We
Yeah.
have the for you dirty warlocks out there. I was one of them for a spell too. Um,
I
my
still am.
dog's moving
Always
my
will be.
mouse here. Warlock's got this thing called the Ophidian Aspects, which seriously I just got like 2 weeks ago when Zer sold it. Um, but these are Warlock's gauntlets that improve the effective energy drain on the Voidwalker subclass and greatly increased weapons handling and reload speeds, which the Blade Dancers already had inherently. So suck it,
Like
Warlocks.
greatly increased.
The perks on these gauntlets also provided increased melee attacks, speed, and grenade throw distance. The Titans, their one claim to fame for a while is the Twilight Garrison. This ugly ass chest armor. Um,
Yeah.
you're laughing because you know it's true. It's
Yeah.
really ugly chest armor that didn't change with the shader for some reason because they may have not coded it correctly, or there's probably a bug.
Hmm.
But what it did is you are allowed to dodge like forward, back, side to side, in midair just by striking the circle button a few times. You'll go this, that, and everywhere. actually had a lot of fun using it in PvE, but a lot of guys like to use it in PvP. But it was to be more evasive and used it for Titan skating. Dirty fucking Titans. You're not supposed to be the fastest class.
Yeah, the tankiest class is also the
Yeah.
fastest. Anyway.
The hunters, the one that I used the most was probably the Bones of Eo. This gave you another jump, which during during the raids especially, there's a lot of jumping puzzles. Having that one extra jump is kind of a big deal, just in case you can't hit your jump or you're having trouble making some of your jumps. This will give you that little boost that you could use. Some of my favorites though were the special weapons. At least one of them is. The other one I suck with. But the special weapons that could go in the primary slot, and there were two of them. One called the Universal Remote, which is a shotgun, which did shotgun things when you weren't aiming down sights, but when you were aiming down the sights, that thing became a sniper rifle sometimes. And
yeah,
I actually loved using that thing for my chaperone quest, because nothing was more scumbaggy until they nerfed it than running Universal Remote with the Matador.
oh my god.
I know, I loved it. You also had the No Land Beyond, which was a sniper rifle. Which a lot of people still use it. It's great in like the hardcore community. I, for the life of me, can't fucking use it, and anytime they nerf it, I want to just scream why. Because it's like the one weapon that I think if you can use it, you should. It takes a skilled hand to use it, and you should never nerf it.
No.
And there's also the Vex Mythoclast, which unfortunately it was a fusion rifle kind of, but it shot automatic bullets. It's crazy. It shoots the bolts out from a fusion rifle one at a time, like an auto rifle, which apparently at first I never got to play it in year one, would melt every single thing in existence.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Broken, but it was so good.
It peaked in high school.
Yeah.
He had weapons that had regenerating ammo, like the Invective and Icebreaker. The Invective being a shotgun. I saw that a lot in year two during a lot of stuff. So I haven't seen it too often recently.
Recently, it's mostly like Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Or like sidearms.
Yeah,
because of how special ammo works, and people rely so heavily on special weapons.
Oh yeah,
they find ways to get around it. So
we found a way around that, Bungie said. Well, the problem with like the regenerating ammo is, especially for the Icebreaker, it allowed for a lot of cheesing during certain encounters. It still kind of does, but not as much as it used to. It was another one of those.
One Icebreaker, like you're doing. Sepix, what the hell is the name of it?
The Devil's Lair?
Yes, Devil's Lair. Well, in that and Black Hammer also. I mean, you could either use the Black Hammer from a distance and just take down that tank.
Funny you mentioned the Black Hammer. For all you noobs out there, the Black Hammer became the Black Spindle in year two. But anyways, continue your point. Sorry about that.
Well, no, I was just adding fuel to the fire. When you were saying about the regenerating ammo, people can just camp. Like you can just sit from afar and just keep sniping because you never run out of ammo. I mean, you will, but it comes right back.
Yeah, it comes right back. I'm thinking that not to go off on a little tangent here, but I'm thinking that perk won't be coming back.
No. I think they definitely learned from that.
Yeah, I don't think in Destiny 2 we'll be seeing that. Speaking of broken though, the one and only weapon to never get an update from year 1 to year 2 or 3 is the Pocket Infinity, which it was a fusion rifle that would fire a whole magazine in quick succession, and missed shots had a good chance at returning to the mag, which sounds like somebody was like really drunk and snuck that into the code one night, and they're like, I hope nobody notices this is in there, because that sounds broken as fuck.
And it was.
Yeah. Do you think they were like, we need to bring this into year 3, and some poor developer just sat around for like hours on end just sweating because he knew he couldn't make it work?
Yeah, how can we balance this?
Yeah.
How?
Well, rolling with
Unless
the
you
whole.
completely change the weapon,
Yeah.
I don't think it would have
It's
been possible.
which is nice that they haven't like completely changed the facet of a lot of these weapons. But one they did have to nerf was yeah, yeah, the thorn. This is I got killed with this at the later stages of year one, which probably helped my point one KD never get past that. For the first few times I ran Crucible, but this is a hand cannon that required a very long and arduous fucking quest line in the first year.
Yeah.
And it used a dot damage, which is damage over time. So when you shot somebody, they would get damage over time. So you could basically shoot somebody twice, walk away, smoke a cigarette, and they'd be dead, which kind
Yep.
of sucks. Any favorites of yours, armor or weapon or otherwise?
Even though I don't really use them that much anymore because of how they changed how the subclass works, it would be the impossible machines.
Oh, hey, I still use them.
Because I like that the mini Fist of Havoc.
Yeah,
Um,
that the
and also being
landfall.
able to use ionic blink landfall. That's what it is.
Yeah. I used to use that in my almost seventh column because I killed 4 guardians below me.
Yeah, but ever since they
Yeah.
nerfed the amount of damage that explosion
Yeah.
does, and it makes your super run out quicker, I don't really use them all that much anymore. I still use my storm caller, of course, but
hmm
I basically have it on ionic blink.
Yeah, I don't use the Stormcaller as much as I thought I would. I'm more of a Voidwalker guy. Weapons? Any personal favorites weapons wise?
Personal favorites, weapons wise. We went over our favorite weapons two
Yeah,
weeks ago, but I would
but
have
this
to
is
say it would
narrowing.
probably be the Talalok.
Oh man, that's a
It's
good
just
one. That's a good
such a
pick.
sweet scout rifle.
hmm
It makes you want to hold your super because that's when the weapon really gets good.
Yeah, it was great for running. Was it Sunsinger? So if you got killed, you can finally use your super. But other than that, you just hold on to it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that may be part of the reason why they made that weapon with the
hmm
perk that they did because they knew a lot of warlocks were, sunsingers and just holding on to their super because they didn't want to use it and then not be able to come back to life and stuff like that. But how about you?
Any fun? Oh, yeah, like I said, we went over it before. I think I ran year two for 90% of the time with the Mida multi tool, which
Mm-hmm.
should let you know what I did there. I loved the graviton forfeit when I first saw it. I thought it was the coolest helmet in the game, just
It
because
looks
the
cool.
weird like the purple smoke effect, and it gave shade step, which I
Yeah.
could use something else in that category. Any fun guns you'd like to run? Saying, hey, fuck it, I'm gonna run this tonight, even though the meta says otherwise.
Hard light.
Oh man,
I
what
just
is it?
love bouncing bullets around the Crucible or in PvE, just watching all
Yeah,
the polymer bullets freaking bounce all over the place. Or
I used. Oh,
Telesto.
go ahead. Oh man, that's so fun to run. That is a really fun gun to run,
I
especially
loved
in
the Needler
PvP.
in Halo.
Yeah,
And when they came out with Telesto, I'm like, oh, it's right up my alley.
it's a big old like Slimer fest.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
do you
my big
usually
one
have
was
the fun with?
the Drake's Promise. That was always my fucking fun gun for some stupid reason. I just liked it, and it was really fun to use. And it didn't require a lot of skill, but it could be a lot of fun. I think my best time with it was some guy popped his storm trance right in front of me. I emptied a whole magazine into him and killed him with killed him with the Drake's Promise, and slightly after that got a message saying thank you. It's like, all right.
Well, and that's one of the. I think there's only a couple weapons that aren't hit scan in Destiny,
Yeah.
and Drag's Promise is one of them. And I actually like the fact how the bullets will track your enemy also.
hmm Apparently, they used to be more aggressively. They used to aggressively track it, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of fine with how it is.
Well,
Becomes weird if it's like a like a homing like the truth.
Well, when the freaking Vandal or Dreg shoots at you with one of those, I mean, it
Well,
tracks you around corners through fucking buildings and shit. It's like, come on. Uh, how about like any armor pieces?
useful wise,
I know you said Graviton
armamentariums
Forfeit,
for the
but
yeah, but like the most useful I think is the armamentarium. Just
two
because it
grenades
gives
in the
you that
turn.
extra, yeah, the
Yeah,
extra grenade. Plus, like, it has those perks to where you get like, it's just an overall like overall special, overall heavy. It's not like, okay, well this one only gets it for rocket launchers and stuff. I think the
yep.
transversive steps for the warlock do the same thing, which I'll use those things if I'm like in a raid because ammo's precious.
Yeah, I like using trends versus steps in this raid that we're gonna go over.
Yeah.
Because how frantic the action is, you're always
Hmm.
trying to reload your weapons, and with the trends
Don't
versus
need to reload.
steps, yeah, it just reloads the weapon for you, and I thought that was very helpful.
Yeah, especially if you're running like the gloves from the raid too that dropped heavy. You
Mhm.
just never run out.
Yeah. um, well, the exotic weapons and armor, I mean, they weren't as game changing. I think Bungie was intending them to be.
No, I don't think. And this may be where we get into a little bit. I don't even think they ever intended them to be overpowered. I think they like kind of intended them to be like once use type of things. Like it fits a situation as opposed to like normal weapons you're gonna take into normal encounters, but these like fit some of these like very very specifically fit a certain encounter. Like the what was it the King's Fall one, the touch of malice, which is
Yeah,
you never use it in anything else except for like Oryx and the sisters.
yeah, this is true. I mean, you also have exotics like the Jesus Christ, I'm losing my train of thought. Void Fang Vestment,
Oh, yeah, those
right?
ones are fun. Yeah.
Um, that's when you respawn with your ammo, right?
Hmm.
No, no,
Yep.
with your grenade charged. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, there's that. I mean, I don't know. It's useful in PvP, I guess, if you want to
It
be
is.
a grenade
Yeah.
tosser the whole match. Um, but I don't know.
No,
Nothing
this is,
really changed the way that I played the game,
of
so to
course.
speak. But I don't know. They're powerful, and they should be more powerful than the exotics. You can only equip than the legendaries. I mean, Jesus Christ, where's my brain? Um, because you can only equip one exotic. You can
Hmm.
have as many legendaries as you like. So I mean, for you to
Unless you
choose,
have the stupid like class items, but that's yeah.
yeah, the life exotic perk. It doesn't
Yeah.
take up the exotic slot. Whatever. It's just the class items, I think, right? That has that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the class items. No ghosts, unfortunately.
No exotic ghosts at all.
No.
Which I was kind of surprised we didn't get an exotic ghost. We didn't get any exotic artifacts either, though.
Artifacts
So
either. I mean, they could have made them exotic this time around, but yeah.
yeah, all the Iron Lord artifacts that we got with this expansion. Um, but with the Rise of Iron, I mean, we're basically coming into, I don't know, I want to say a new age almost, but not really.
Ish. I mean, it's a year after we took down the Oryx. That's at least that's what it said. Is like this
Yeah.
takes place during.
Yeah, and with most of the Rise of Iron, though, the Bungie takes us back in time,
Hmm.
kind of, but then we fight in present day. I don't know. I
Yeah, they
like
want
how
to
they,
show their lore.
yeah. I mean, I like how they presented everything. I mean, now that the, but in this time period, the Fallen, they've broken through the southern border of old Russia. Um,
Shit.
yeah, yeah, our impenetrable walls. Haha,
Yeah.
bullshit. But now that the Fallen, they're scavenging the tombs of the Golden Age. They're unearthing some technology, looking for something, and they find something that's even more dangerous than they can even comprehend. And at that point, we need to team up with Lord Saladin, or Salad Bar, in the Plaguelands in order to try and stop the Fallen. With the enemy races, the Fallen, as I just mentioned, are definitely part of this expansion. We fight primarily against the House of Devils. They're the ones who dug deep and they
Those
located.
scamps,
Yeah, fucking scamps stealing our shit. Uh,
assholes.
but they dug deep underground. They found Siva. Now, Siva is a nanotechnology that was developed by Clovis Bray. It's a company in Destiny. It's more enthralled in the lore than what they really tell you about in game itself.
Yeah,
So
you just see a bunch of buildings for the most part for Clovis Bray.
right, yeah. I mean,
It's an awesome
you
name though.
it is, and you know they are there, but they don't give you too much on them in the game anyway. But yeah, Clovis,
It's a running theme. Don't worry, folks.
right. Gonna get better. Destiny 2 is gonna be phenomenal. But yeah, Siva was created by Clovis Bray. It's as I mentioned, a nanotechnology. It can self-replicate. It can self-assemble. So essentially, you can use it to build stuff. And I mean, humanity wanted to use it to better themselves, because it was intended to be used by deep space colonists. But the military was also involved, and you know how that goes. When the
Yeah,
military
they
is
open
there,
up a fucking box of infinite possibilities. What do you think's gonna happen?
yeah, they try to weaponize everything.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where Siva posed such a great threat to humanity that the Iron Lords decided to take it on, and they end up sacrificing themselves to contain it. And 100 years goes by, and then these freaking asshole fallen come in and unearth Siva, and here we are.
Saladin looks great for 100 years old, by the way. He doesn't look like he's aged a day.
Well, he's a guardian. He's got a little gray hair. He's got a little gray on the sides.
Yeah, a little salt and pepper.
Yeah, a little salt and pepper. But that's the basic gist of it as far as the enemy alien races. I mean, the Hive are pretty much just recovering from when we kicked their asses and took down Oryx.
Yeah, it took down a fucking god. How many
Yeah.
people could put that on their resume?
Us Guardians can.
That's right.
The Vex are just thinking about, time and space and time and space.
Space and time. Just drinking their Vex milk, thinking about time and space.
Vex milk. The Cabal are just being silly little space turtles flying about the space and stuff, and not really doing much.
I would say the Cabal are the best example of like what Bungie's doing. They're just fucking sitting around waiting for Destiny 2. Outside of for that little small team, this is actually like a funny thing reading it's like the small team that worked on this just focused on the Fallen, and the rest were just kind of like, okay, well, all right. Then the Cabal is like, we'll see you soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, this Rise of Iron came to light. They started it in January of 2016?
Something like that, yeah.
Finished it by the time it came out in September.
Impressive.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to report on as far as our Guardians go. There's no new subclasses.
No.
Some new armor sets and stuff, of course, but yeah, changes with the subclasses and shit like that. But I don't know, not really notable enough to include in the episode itself. But as far as friendly NPCs, we get to spend a lot more time with Lord Saladin.
Space. Woo!
Yeah, whole new social space. This is where Lord Saladin takes up shop officially, because before this expansion, the only time you saw Saladin was when Iron Banner rolled around and you went to go see him in the tower. Well, now he's permanently perched at the Iron Temple, and he is the last Iron Lord who's in charge of giving us quests and some guidance.
Yep, and he also sits by he stands by two wolves that are just kind of staring.
Yes.
And they're adorable.
They are, but they look menacing at the same time. Then we got Tyra Banks. Oh, I'm sorry, Tyra Karn.
Oops. Nope.
She's an archivist, and she does Master Rahul's job. She's not much nicer about it, but she does give us our engrams, and she's also responsible for the artifacts that were
She's very
introduced.
grandmothery too.
He is. Yeah. Then we have Shiro 4. He's a Vanguard scout, and he's a friend of Cade 6's. They're both, well, obviously Shiro 4, Cade 6.
Yeah.
They're both frames.
Just means
Or
Shiro's better at his
XOs.
job because he hasn't been reset.
Well, who was manufactured first?
No, that's true.
Oh. But
Chicken
he's
or
not.
egg?
Yeah, what came first? Um, he may have not been wiped as many times, but he doesn't have the same amount of charisma that Cade 6 does, though.
Well, I mean, Cade 6, it's probably been longer since he's been reset. Maybe Shiro's newly reset or something like that. He just has no personality.
Perhaps. And the last notable one would be Lady Ephrodite.
The Valley Girl.
Yes, the Valley Girl. She was off at a pacifist camp, but Saladin put all of his focus into taking out Siva. He had to bring somebody in to help out with Iron Banner, and that is Miss Lady Ephrodite. It was said anytime her weapon fired, an enemy of the city was dead. She was a great sniper. Or so I was told by the lore. I don't know. Take it for what it is.
She probably was. She had her own gun, so I mean, that's something. Saladin didn't have shit.
Well, he has Saladin's Vigil now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I wish they would have had one for him though. I bet he does too. So, does this game have story? A little bit. Do we want to tell it? No, not really. Just kidding. So the game starts out. We've already kind of discussed that the Fallen have busted through the wall. So the first mission in the game, you're gonna have to go up to Fellwinter's Peak, the new social space. Hint, hint. This is where we find a bunch of Fallen. They're up there doing Fallen stuff. But when you're going through the mission, you get well, when you first start, you get like a cutscene showing like the battle between Siva and the Iron Lords. They show like Yolder or Jolder, however you want to say it. I think Jay's silent, by the way. Yeah, Yolder, chasing them. They close, or Yolder closes this chamber that has like all this Siva flying around and shit, and Saladin like doesn't even shed a tear. It's like, it's your brother in arms, dude. You can shed a tear. So you start fighting. You up the mountain. You take a gondola ride. You look at the sights and sounds of the Great Mountain.
Oh, it's so peaceful.
And yeah, it's really peaceful until you get a fucking sniper shot. Goddamn yellow barred vandals. But you get up there and you take out more Fallen. Believe me, it's a lot. It's actually a lot of fun. And you have to like go up these little trails up the mountain and stuff. And hey, guess who pops out? Our old friend Sepix, but he kind of has this weird gooey red stuff coming off of him. These like cables everywhere. So you dispatch him with your best weapons. Some of the ads show up with Yolder's hammer. Sepix gets away, and then we get word from Shiro that there's been multiple impacts near the wall in Sector 17. So I guess we're gonna go to Old Russia. That place, Old Russia, but this time with snow. Everywhere. It's a winter wonderland. After that, Saladin has a hard on for Sepix at this point, so he's like, "Hey, get the fuck in there, go fuck him up." So we're in hot pursuit. We encounter some Fallen as we make our way through the Cosmodrome. Big surprise there. We kick some more Fallen through there. More specifically, we kick their taints or asses wherever our foot tends to land in that area. We go through the breach and into the divide. We find this strange, weird ass pattern with this like, it's some weird etching on that the ghost examines. Said there's like stuff, and you can actually see some of the stuff too. It all looks like red vine licorice and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks delicious.
So tasty. I hope it's strawberry.
There's a good chance it is. If not, it's probably cherry, which I'm just as fine with.
Yeah, that's okay.
Saladin's like, he says it so calmly too. He doesn't even yell it. It's like Saladin's a chill motherfucker. He's smoking a lot of weed up on that hill, but he's like, yeah, that's Siva, and could construct anything that humanity needed. Kind of what we went over earlier. It's yeah, it's kind of like the T-1000.
Yeah, I mean, you could build anything with Siva.
Yeah, what a terrible fucking idea.
Mm-hmm.
The Hive show up, beat the shit out of them as usual. Hive doing Hive things, getting their ass kicked.
What
After killing the Hive, yeah, killing all the Hive in the area, Shiro tells us that he's lost connection to the sensor grid and has to go fix the problem. Yeah, he's like, oh hey, I need you guys to go do this. All right, Shiro, you know what? You're Cade's bitch. Just say that. So we go there, we fix the problem. So we go to the monitoring station, fight through this is where we first really start getting hard and heavy, or getting hot and heavy with the Siva dudes. We get to the monitoring station, but the sensor grid is a lost cause because they fucked it up too much already. We fight through a Fallen while Ghost extracts the information we need from the monitoring station. And that's when these delicious guys show up. They have their own little weird sortie legs. They're called the Splicer Devils. We fight through a bunch of them. That's all Saladin needs to know, and suggests the Fallen have restarted production of Siva, which is unfortunate because Siva killed a bunch of Iron Lords and they sacrificed themselves. So it's like, oh shit. So Sepix has been put on the back burner for now, and we're gonna go to the Iron Temple and talk to all those cool guys. And then Shiro tells us the Fallen have occupied a bunker in the Plaguelands. This is actually a really fun mission, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you fight through a bunch of stuff. You gotta take out their artillery, and this is like basically our first introduction to the wider scope of the Plaguelands as well. Hence the reason why it's called the Plaguelands. So we return to the monitoring station. We scan a Vandal on the ground. He's just kind of laying there in a nice, like, rich pose, which is it's beautiful. If you've never seen it, he was voguing. Yep. He's like, okay, Ghost, find me. The Ghost finds that the armor and weapons have been enhanced by Siva. Hint, hint. Shiro says they're called splicers and they are body modifiers. So they like. Some people like getting tattoos and piercings. The splicers like ripping off body parts and replacing them with swords. Not terrifying at all.
Oh, no big deal.
My cat's trying
it's
to get
commonplace in some parts of the U.S., right?
Well, yeah, I guess. Hook hands. Like pirates. Shiro says they're called splicers, yeah. And Saladin's concerned that they're using Siva to alter themselves and not just the environment. He cares about the environment.
You should be on the EPA.
Yeah, I know, right? Shit. This is not a political podcast.
No.
Of course, there's an army that we have to go through as we're making our way to the guns. Once we get up there, we take out the cannons. I recommend using their cannons because those things are the tits of taking shit down. They send in a bunch of reinforcements, some new splicer tanks and stuff, which I think they like those things.
The perfected walkers are freaking deadly, man.
Yeah, they're deadly. They're the way they shoot things is kind of weird though. It's always kind of throwing me off, which I guess is a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, you do that one shot, or I think it's like a 2-shot with the cannons if you take out the tanks. You get a cutscene with Saladin, your guardian at the temple. They make out. Man and woman, he don't care. Saladin don't give a shit. No. He is a man of many loves. But anyways, the Iron Lords come together to solve mankind's struggles and found Siva. Siva went apeshit, because that's what machines do. He tells us to speak to Tyra to introduce ourselves, and so she can give us more disappointment about our engrams. She also has more info. So great.
So we can be disappointed about what we get out of our engrams. I like
And
that.
business as usual. You fucking asshole.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, Tyra tells us that she found some unexplained phenomena near the Clovis Bray building on Mars. And she mentions that it may be some SIVA prototypes that they have records of never being found.
Yeah.
Um, and at that point, Saladin chimes in, stating that Lord Teemer also said something about SIVA prototypes, and he suggests that we go investigate. Because,
Is it Lord Tamir and Pumbaa?
I don't know if there's a Pumbaa, but there's definitely Tamir.
Damn it.
Nice try. So we head off to Mars, and we end up landing at the top of the Cortex in the Dust Palace. Of course, there's a bunch of space turtles there that we need to wipe out. And after dispatching those Cabal, we head inside to investigate, and Tyra has to help lead us toward the biolab where we suspect the prototypes are being held. We fight through, end up arriving at the Overwatch, and we have to take care of some phalanxes and scions before we have Ghost scan a terminal that they were
Wait,
kind
are
of
we covering
protecting.
Overwatch? Because I don't play that game.
We were in the Overwatch.
Really?
Inception, a little bit. Little.
Reaper? Die.
No.
Oh, God.
Die, die, die. Anyway,
Anyway.
so Ghost does what he does best, and he scans a terminal for us, and it's where we find out that there's a data store right below where we currently are standing. So we have to find a way down, and Ghost cleverly suggests an elevator shaft. So we have to fight our way through some Centurions and some Colossus, and then we get to the elevator doors, open them up, and we jump down. And we go to scan another terminal. Wow, imagine that.
It's scan terminal, the level. I love it.
Yes. This is when we find out that there were multiple types of prototypes that were made, and they were all meant for their own purposes. There were some SIVA prototypes that were made for building constructs. Some were for viral armor enhancements. Sound familiar?
Yeah. Some ones for making lasagna.
Yeah, one for making lasagna,
Yes.
like your mama does. And there was something about cybernetic diagnostics. But, true nature of destiny, we're interrupted by a wave of freaking Cabal from all sides.
Of course.
Yeah, so we wipe out the Cabal that are trying to stop us from gaining this information. And after dispatching all of them, Saladin speaks with Tyra and asks, did we get enough information to find out how we can disrupt the hold of SIVA that the Fallen have? And she says, I'm an archivist, but between Shiro and I, we'll leave no stone unturned. So that's good enough for us, and we get the F out of there. Now, going to the next mission, the Iron Tomb. We go to attack this massive network that the Fallen have built deep in the Plaguelands. And once we land in the Plaguelands, we have to work our way through the Giant's Husk to take down the Fallen's censored grid. Because Shiro's like, oh, they did it to us? Well, let's do it to them. Because that's how we are. We're like little kids in grade school now.
I know, right? Jesus.
Well, not only... Well, we're doing it to get back at them, but it also will disable SIVA for a short period of time and allow us to get to where we need to go. So it's not just all payback, it's to benefit our mission also. So we find ourselves inside of a giant tanker ship that's kind of just on the land. That's the scope of the Plaguelands. There's like shit that is on land that shouldn't really be there. It's a very strange place, but it's designed
awesome
well.
Looking ship. Yeah, it's designed really well.
Yeah, I like the Plaguelands. Yeah, I'm just saying the stuff that they put in there kind of, sort of, maybe doesn't make much sense. Like there's part of a highway. There's a freaking ship right next to it. Like, well, what are we doing? But anyway,
the collapse was fucked up. That's what.
This is very true. I mean, we never got any video evidence or any storytelling about what actually happened during the collapse. So maybe that's a result of that. It's possible. But after taking out the splicers inside of the ship, we switch to polarity on their power supply, and that shorts it out and takes the system offline. Pretty simple. But that's because they use the engine from like an old steamer ship.
Yeah.
So it was
fucks doing that one little thing fucks a lot of shit up too.
yeah. Because we start hauling ass toward the Archon's Keep, and while we're going, I mean, SIVA clusters are just blowing up on all sides and just causing really cool looking explosions.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes for a great visual.
Yeah,
So it's like happening all the way to the keep. You know, sometimes with these games they'll like hold off all that shit. Like either like they'll do it right at the beginning, you won't see it on the way there, or they'll do it like all at the end. No, this is like everything on the fucking way there.
yeah, it's all blowing up while you're hauling ass in your Sparrow, just trying to make it from point A to point B. And
Unless you're being an idiot and walking, because who would do that?
yeah, I don't know, somebody who has never played the game before. But as we're approaching the entrance to the forge, it just fucking erupts into this giant explosion, which is really cool to see for the first time. Also, but you know, we're Guardians, doesn't phase us. We're cooler than the cool guys who don't look like explosions because we walk toward the explosions.
Also, it's like there's no fear of death because the ghost will just bring you back. So
Yeah,
there's that.
The ghost will just bring us back. Yeah, it's very true. But after the dust settles a little bit, we walk our way inside of the forge and en route to the Warrens, which is just another part inside of the forge itself. There we kill a captain and a few dregs, and that gives us entry into a tunnel that will actually lead us to the Warrens. So it's like we were fighting our way through the entire time. Typical Destiny. But once we get through there, we have to, you know, make like a common rat, almost.
Yeah, we kind of crawl through some vents and stuff. It's like we're John McClane from Die Hard.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is still my favorite one.
Oh, the first one was a fantastic movie.
Yeah. But yeah, we crawl through some vents. We find a spot to drop down, and that brings us now underground. This whole time we've been above ground. Now we're going subterranean, bitches.
Way underground.
Yeah, way deep underground at one point, which is coming up here soon. We find many devout splicers who are protecting the area. We take them out real quick, and we press forward into, well, toward the replication chamber at least. We're not quite there yet. We find ourselves with a locked door, which is a classic scenario in Destiny once again. We have to pull out the ghost, and he has to try and hack that. While we're waiting, we see this high-level captain with a scorch cannon, and when the door opens, guess what we need to do? Run like a little bitch. No, I'm just kidding. So we take out the captain, and he was protecting this hole in the floor. Well, that's where we need to go. So you jump through the hole in the floor, and it's a far freaking drop.
It's a nice drop.
Yeah, if you don't use your jump ability, you will die.
Yep.
So if you make it and you don't die from the impacts, you have to then push your way through some more devil splicers, and you come across a door that has Rasputin's symbol on it, and we don't have to do anything with the ghost. It just opens up for us as we approach.
That's not creepy.
No, not at all.
It's inviting.
Yes, it says please continue onward. But yeah, after the door opens up, we see the hallway that they showed Saladin standing inside while the Iron Lords were making their final stand against SIVA. And now it's up to us to make our way through this hallway and enter the replication chamber, so that way we can go ahead and destroy SIVA for good.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're always trying to do, is end them for good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you make your way into the chamber itself, and on your way there, you notice that things have changed a little bit since we saw the cutscene. The replication chamber is now actually separated from the hallway a little bit. It's suspended
Hmm.
by Siva. There's freaking deep red lighting everywhere.
Yep.
Very ominous, but really freaking cool at the same time. Uh, I don't know. What did you think about that?
Speaking, I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought the atmosphere was just right for like,
Yeah.
because like this game's like a space game, so I was
Hmm.
kind of wasn't expecting like weird like Hellraiser-y type shit going on, like with like things being suspended from certain places and all the body modification. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like the developers were big like Hellraiser fans with some of the way like some of this shit was designed.
Yeah, they pulled a lot of inspiration from many different outlets.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious when you start seeing these sort of things get incorporated into Destiny. Um, and speaking of suspended, when you enter the
No.
chamber, there
Yeah.
you see the bodies of the Iron Lords being suspended from the
Fucking creepy.
ceiling by Siwa, and it is creepy as fuck. Still pretty
You
cool though.
think?
No, not at all. Just a bunch of dead Iron Lords suspended from the ceiling. It's not no big deal.
But they're being suspended by Siva. It's
Yeah,
like it's so oh god.
yeah. It's cool though. I like it.
Yeah.
So we send out Ghost to go start the self-destruct sequence, but the body of Fellwinter, who is it's directly in front of you when you enter the chamber, the body of Fellwinter gets sucked upward in with the
Yeah.
quickness, really, and he drops an axe that he was holding on, and it drops onto the ground. Uh, of course, a giant axe drops on the ground. You want to go pick it up, so
Oh,
you
of
go to
course you have to.
well, you literally do have to
Oh,
in order
well,
to
yeah, true.
start the encounter. So you pick up the axe, and then the remnant of Fellwinter drops down on your guardian and blows you back into basically almost back into the hallway. It's got a lot
Yeah.
of force behind it, and that's because Siva is using the Iron Lord's armor against us, and it's making
Yeah.
these remnants. And the only way to damage them is to use the axe as well, which I thought was kind of neat. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
up close and personal with these giant freaking remnants of the Iron Lords.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So you take out Fellwinter and yeah, I did it. Nope, you ain't
Nope.
done yet.
Nope. Apparently you never saw a horror movie.
Right? So you take down Fellwinter, but then a bunch of splicers start flooding into the room, and then you get the remnant of Yolder and Galleon. So you have to fight two of them now at the same time, while fighting off waves of ads of Devil Splicers. Doing this mission solo was one of the most troubling times I've had in Destiny when I
Especially
went to
like
go
the
do it the
hard,
first time.
yeah, the hard mode mission of this sucks.
Yeah.
So hard. Plus, like the iron, I thought it was like a cool little like nod. Is like the Iron Lords are like the only thing in the game that uses like the guns against you.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing else has like uses like bulleted guns except for like the Guardians. Um, but like these things actually you can like see them using their like auto rifle and stuff, and it's like I thought that was a nice touch to it because I think it might have been out of place to have them using like Siva weapons and stuff, or like the Fallen's weapons. This
Yeah, I
did
think it.
bleed.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh
No,
no, you
finish
go
your
ahead. I
thought.
got a nice thought.
Well, finish it.
I was gonna say like um this actually had me hopeful because I played this mission before the raid came out, like day one, of course. But I was like really hopeful that like the in the raid, no spoilers here, but like the raid would have actually had the Iron Lords as the raid bosses, like the other ones. I thought that would
Yes.
have been like, yeah, this had me hopeful. It, yeah, we'll get to the raid here in a second. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I hate the raid because that wasn't it, and it was like totally unfounded on my part. I was just like thinking like, in previous like parts of the game or previous like releases, the last thing you fight usually like ended up being the raid boss. This wasn't the case on this one though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't end up that way.
Yeah.
Um, just bringing it back to what you said about the Iron Lords not having Siva type weapons was a good thing.
Yeah.
What I was going to add to that is, I agree. I think it would have taken away like some of the emotion that we felt
Hmm.
just realizing that it's the Iron Lords. So to kind of keep that balance of, oh my god, I'm fighting against a remnant of Yolder,
Yeah.
and them being so freaking menacing and trying to kill you. I think they did a good job of balancing it out with how
Yeah.
they handled the encounter. It was
They're way
tough,
bigger than the
but fun.
Guardian too.
Yeah, like they're freaking huge.
Yeah. Like 10 feet tall. They're like Shaq size.
They're like Shaq size. Uh, anyway, so long story short, just to kind of wrap up the main story of the game here, we put the Iron Lords to rest. You know, we defeat the remnant of Yolder and Gellion. We set the self-destruct with Ghost, and then get the fuck out of the replication chamber
That's
while
right.
it's
We do
about to
Metroid
explode
Prime
behind
again.
us. Yeah, just run through a hallway. There's some devil splicers and shit you have to kill while you're running out of the replication chamber, of course, because Bungie's not going to make it that easy. Um,
I usually
that's
just avoid them.
basically that's it for the missions itself. But there were some extra things that happened after the
Hmm.
fact. Mainly the cutscene that happens once we're done with this mission. Do you want to kind of go over that for us?
Yeah. We had a little prologue. We go to up to Saladin. He's of course in the Iron Temple now. We give him Yolder's helmet, which you found in that creepy ass replication chamber. I wonder if we ever told him, "Hey, I saw your friends. They're terrifying." Um,
No, we brought back her helmet, which I thought that
yeah.
was a very nice touch.
Well, yeah. He brought back the helmet. Saladin kind of like trying not to openly weep in front of us because he's a man. Um, he reveals the ceremonial stand with the Iron Banner insignia on it. He puts Yolder's helmet on the stand and raises the broadsword above it with both hands, telling us to approach. He tells us that these blades were only carried by the Iron Lords and that there were many of them in the armory, but this one was new and it's for us. That's how we get that really cool sword that's not as good as the other ones. What was that, Young Wolf style?
Young Wolf's Howl. Yep.
Yep. It actually looked cool. It's like probably the best looking sword. But yeah, still no raise later.
No.
And Shaq's gonna tone for that because he runs it in Destiny 2. Anyway,
Anyway.
anyway, um, we got the for two of the other missions, we got the return of two iconic weapons. I say iconic; it doesn't mean they're good. Um, so at the beginning of all of Destiny, in the beginning, we picked up an auto rifle. It wasn't great. Actually, kind of sucked. Had a cracked uh, fucking scope. Um,
Hey, it was an
but
old
this
weapon, right? Leave it
it
alone.
hey, I'm not judging. Well, I am. But anyways, but this was basically our first silo against the darkness. It's our first beacon of hope. Um, so during this, we find a schematic, and that starts the quest to actually go and find the Kvastov. Is that 47? I think something like that. Let's just go for we're just gonna call it the Kvastov. It's it's the most well, before that, it's not a really difficult quest. It was kind of a pain in the ass to do it solo, but not too hard. But at the end, you actually get like a moment with you and Ghost, and Ghost is telling you actually really cool stuff. This is one that I personally think it's like one of the more satisfying endings to a quest line in the whole game.
For
Because
sure. Yeah.
oh yeah, you just you're looking out, and the Ghost is like basically telling you how important it was he found you and how happy he is and things like that. So you don't really get those too often, which is really nice. But you
Yeah.
also get the most customizable gun in Destiny. The only problem with that is like none of the none of the perks are that great. I mean the perks are great, but the gun really isn't. Um, I never
Yeah.
I never liked it. I tried to use it as a scout rifle and it never worked. I couldn't do it.
I liked it
Um,
as the scout. It was decent.
it had a
Um,
weird the trigger was weird, like the vibration. It made it not feel like a scout, so it was kind of like I didn't like that.
yeah. The fastest firing rate auto rifle form was kind of okay, but
Yeah.
the thing of it is, because I mean they did this by design, I would
Hmm.
guess, because no matter the archetype that you set up the Kvarstov for, it's not going to be the
The
best
best.
weapon
Yeah.
in that archetype. I mean, if they did design it in such a way that it would be the best
Yeah.
fastest firing auto rifle or the best slow rate of fire scout rifle,
Hmm.
then why would you use any other weapon?
This
You
is
know?
true, and it actually kind of gives me hope for the future.
Yeah.
Which is so kind of a weird thing. It's like, well, they gave you this underpowered gun. It's like, no, it's seems like they finally like got a real handle on like actual balancing, because
Yes.
the gun's balanced. It's not overpowered. It's not underpowered. It's just right
It's just
there.
good,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I still never really used it because I there were better versions of all the parts.
Mm-hmm. Same thing
But you
for me.
also,
I used it
yeah,
for a little while and then I was like, okay, I used it, put it in the vault.
I'll put a lock on it and then put the ornaments on there. We had the Beauty and Destruction quest. So let me tell you a tale of ships and whales. Once upon a time,
We
there
don't
was
have
a
time for
weapon.
that.
Yeah, I know. Well, don't you dare think that. Once upon a time, there was a weapon that every Guardian needed, whether it was traversing the Cosmodrome on patrol or diving into the Vault of Glass. It was called the Yellerhorn, and it
Mm-hmm.
was great. Probably too great. It was also the Scourge of Destiny LFG, which is they're looking for group things. If you're wanting to do like an instance or anything, this is where you can go. And sometimes if you didn't have the Yellerhorn, you were left out of a raid group, and some
Such a
things became
shame.
yeah, some things became kind of toxic because of a weapon. Um,
Yeah, looking for two to do the raid. Must have Galahorn.
must have Yellerhorn.
You're
Jesus.
like, well, fuck
Yeah.
me, I don't have it yet.
Well,
Took me
Bungie
forever
also
to get
said
it.
fuck you because they didn't bring it in the year two. Well,
Yeah.
during some of the previews, actually during one of the major previews, they let let loose the dogs of war and said, "Hey, we're bringing back the Yellerhorn to Guardians everywhere, splooshing in their pants." Um, the quest has some of the best action probably in the whole series, like just for solo quests.
It's one of my favorite
Um,
quests.
yeah, and at the end, you get the Gallarhorn, and then you basically get infinite ammo, infinite heavy ammo for it in little boxes everywhere.
God.
So just me remembering it kind of makes me sploosh in my pants. So you're welcome, audience. Uh, yeah, it's there everywhere. It is everywhere. Um, they introduced the Archon's Forge, which was like an arena. This isn't this isn't like Prison of Elders or anything. There's no like guys calling it or anything. It's mostly Ghost just being a smartass for the most part. But you
Yeah.
put in this thing called a Siva offering, which at the beginning of Rise of Iron, good luck fucking getting one. They
Yeah, they
had
were
to
hard to come
actually,
by.
yeah, I think that was like a week after it came out where they upped the drop rate for them because it was like nearly fucking impossible to get one. But it's all the classes for the fallen captain, servitors, drags, shanks, and vandals. You drop the offering, a bunch of those types of enemies comes out. You do like do you kill a bunch, it goes by a percentage. If you kill all the Siva clusters, you'll get the axes, and then rinse and repeat. The hardest version of it though brings out an actual boss version of that thing. Um, like the captain's just a really big captain. The servitor is a really big servitor. There's one drag that's super fucking powerful.
Oh my
Then I
god.
think
He just
yeah,
doesn't
I think
die.
he doesn't die, but his is the only one that doesn't bring out enemies, which is weird. But the shank one I think is my least favorite one because that one's really fucking hard. And those shanks, their shields come up
Yeah,
so
there's what,
fast.
three of them?
There's three, one for each
One for
element,
each
and
element? Yeah.
yeah, it's oh man, that one's really hard. Um, so that's a pretty fun encounter. It's great for sitting around one night as you're getting offerings. You can use them if you're in there with a fire team. The cool part about it was though, you can be in there with like a ton of people. I think the max I've been in there was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think it maxes out at 8, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah, it was really cool to be in there with it because you just mop the floor with them once there's eight people in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so after all these story missions, Do we get any strikes or anything like that?
Oh yeah, yep. We got some well, one new strike, two redone strikes. The new one was the wretched eye.
Ugh.
And if you're doing this and with arc burn, hope somebody has
Yeah,
some mercy on your soul. Um,
they do
'cause-
not. Or this is the one where all elements, if there's a burn on, can fuck you up.
well, yeah,
I'll
arc
let you.
because of the boss arena
Yeah,
and
the shanks.
void also. I mean, for the
Oh
boss
yeah, Void will
encounter.
wipe you. Yeah.
Hmm? Well, essentially, we're going under the plague lands, and we have to find Kovic, yeah, because he's utilizing a fucking ogre's eye as a weapon.
These people are fucking sick.
Yeah, like the Devil Splicers, they're not just altering themselves with Siva. They'd say, hey, let's alter everything else. I'm gonna
That's
take
cool.
out this ogre's eye, strap it onto a freaking weapon, and use it to dispatch my enemies.
I was
Um,
also hoping that when that came up, I was like, oh man, maybe they're gonna have a an exotic with fucking ogre's eye on the end, but that never came to pass, unfortunately.
no, but it does look like we'll finally get the Dubious
Yeah,
Folly in Destiny 2.
this is true. And also the was it the cold heart kind of looks like the exotic version of this, at least like the firing of it, not the giant ogre eye on the end.
Right. Um, so I like this strike a lot because this is kind of a little after the point where Bungie finally decided to have some of the strikes be almost procedurally generated, but not really.
Yeah.
Like there's different avenues that you can take to get through the
Hmm.
strikes, and this one you have to go and find Siva clusters and blow them up to and just proceed through the buildings and shit. But when you get to the boss room, there's an ogre in the middle of the room,
Yeah.
and you can't hurt him, you can't kill him, and
And
he
eventually, yeah.
he chases you around the room. It's not a big play space either. It's a
Yeah.
rather small play area that you're trying to take this boss down in, while the ogre is chasing you through around the whole place. Every once in a while, you get dregs and vandals that will spawn, but with arc burn, you
Oh
have to watch out
man.
for some death from above.
God damn it. Yeah.
Because the Shanks, before you even realize that they're coming down into the battle, will kill you.
Yeah.
They start firing from so high in the sky, like you have to be ready for them to come out and take them down with the quickness. Otherwise, you're gonna get burnt down by their elemental damage.
Say personally for me, this is like
But
probably their best designed boss encounter because I couldn't really think. I like as I was actually researching this, I was like really started to think like it was like this is the end, and we've been going through all these strikes, but this one's just so fucking good. The boss battles like it's not overly hard, but with certain modifiers on it, it's a really difficult one, and it actually feels good when you've beat it.
hmm yeah, I mean the whole time Kovic is teleporting from one place to another while you're doing damage to him. You have to run away from the ogre if he's attracted to you at any given point in time.
Yep.
Take down the ads when they're spawning. And like I said, it's not a big space either, so you're doing
Mm-mm.
all of this in a little amount of real estate. So when you do take them down, yes, it does feel fantastic. I will
Yeah.
agree. As far as the remade strikes, we got Sepix perfected. The boy is back in town, and we fight through the plague lands. It's essentially the Devil's Lair strike, but there's Devil Splicers, there's Siva clusters
Siva
and shit.
clusters, just those little weird hive traps
Yeah, the
that
hive
popped up.
smoke fizzy traps,
Yeah.
also that slow you down. But yeah, those spike traps or whatever, that's what you're talking about? That hold
Yep.
you in place? Yeah, those things are a pain in the ass. At least you
They
can
are.
shoot them and
Hmm.
you get released right away. And when you get to Sepix, the fight is almost the same, but it's changed up a little bit because as you're doing damage to him, he will get a shield. And it'll be a solar, a void, or an arc shield. And whatever type of shield he has on him, they'll spawn two captains that have that elemental cannon.
Yep.
you have to kill the captain, grab the cannon, shoot Sepix with it. That takes down his shield. You do more damage, he gets another shield. Kill captain, shoot him, more damage, shield, kill captain, shoot him. Yeah, so you just rinse and repeat until Sepix is no more. Still a great strike. I love that one.
Oh,
also.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one was the Abomination Heist. And this was just another version of Golgoroth with Devil Splicers, because they're trying to take another ogre.
It's Folgoth.
Oh yeah, Fogoth. Sorry, Golgoroth was fucking King's Fall.
Spider legs, really?
Yes.
Damn it. Every fucking time.
But yeah, so they're trying to take Fogoth and alter him, take his eye. But essentially, you just tickle him in the belly, and you'll take him down.
There's also I didn't put it in the notes, but there's tomb ships on this one too, which I was actually really happy to see.
Yeah. The ads spawning and shit.
Yeah. You actually have to ride the tomb ships to
yeah, through that one particular part.
Yeah.
They don't let you go through the normal way. You
have
to go off the beaten path a little bit, do a mini King's Fall jumping puzzle, and then you can continue.
Yeah, it's only 2, but it's still, a little fun to put it in a strike.
I didn't know where the second one was the first time. I fell to my death.
I actually did not either. It disappeared and I landed on it, so I kind of lucked out. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I fell. I'm like, oh, where the hell was I supposed to go? Then I see the other ship going toward the doorway. I'm like, oh, fuck me. I know now. That was essentially it. That's all we got for strikes out of the Rise of Iron anyway. I mean, there'll be a few more that we'll touch on once we start going through the events.
But
I hear that, what about this raid that we got?
That's the Wrath of Makeen or something like that. I don't know.
Wrath of Makeen? Right. Sounds about
it's
right.
Our Wrath of the Machine. This is actually a really fun one. So in the beginning, there was Vasek. He comes out, starts firing his fucking cannon at you while 2 to 3 guardians, it's really hard to do it with one, go around collecting these sparks, charge these spinners that spew bombs. You take the bombs, you throw them at Vasek, bring down his shield, do some damage, rinse, repeat until he fucking runs like a bitch, like most fallen do. Yeah. Run through a quick jumping puzzle. Fun fact, there would be a chest there, and if you're really cool, you can knock a person off the edge there while they're looking out at something, and it's really funny. But anyways, you do a jumping puzzle all the way to the end. Of course, you drop through the ceiling, and you have to basically get close to his platform, and Vasek appears again. Same kind of like similar bomb mechanics. You get bombs again, but they drop from the ceiling. No spinners this time.
Mm-hmm.
Throw them. You simultaneously throw the bombs at him to make sure his shield goes down. After you throw the bombs, there's all these monitors behind him. One of them will have a Siva like little emblem on it. You shoot it. Rinse and repeat. Once you do that, get him down. Do your damage on him. He's gonna do a kill all move, which there's these 4 rooms on the side. There's 4 rooms in the encounter that you get to run to. They're clean rooms to make sure they put the shield up so you can't kill everybody. This is like one of the more contentious boss battles because some people they like to put the shield up early. So after that, go through another jumping puzzle until you find this clearing. You take out a bunch of fucking fallen. Coast is clear, right? You're just standing next to a giant wall. Well, all these fallen ships appear, and this giant death Zamboni. Is
that the technical term for it?
No, it's the siege engine, but for right now, it will forever be the death Zamboni. Starts bearing down on you and your fire team. You take down these 2 guns that it has on its head, or whatever that thing is, and it makes this core pop out. Meanwhile, the other people on the fire team are taking out ads. You shoot the core, it takes down like its protective barrier, so you jump up on it, um, and then it starts failing. So what do? A ship drops some parts for it. You go pick up the parts. You walk them all the way back while also killing ads. Collect the parts, repair the engine, and there you go. It breaks through the last barrier, and then falls off a fucking cliff like the coyote. Um,
Yeah.
it sounds a
And
lot
then you
easier
have to
than
go
it is.
after it.
Yeah, or you can ride it all the way down to the bitter end, which is actually pretty fun. You do a bunch of falls. Go through this like weird like it looks like a server room. That's the best way to like describe it. Where you kill a bunch
Basically
of
what it
ads.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, kill a bunch of ads. You go through another room. You see this big cube in the middle of the room. We'll get to that later. Um,
Hmm.
and then you come face to face with the Devil Archon Axis, aka SYS. Clever. He's really angry. Sends a bunch of ads at you. Once you take down the captains, they'll drop their cannons. You use the cannons to blow up some servitors. Throw the bombs. You have to use the element for the same servitor, by the way. So purple, blue, and orange. Um, so you take them down with the cannons. Somebody else throws the bomb. End of encounter. Easy day. Super easy. That's the end of the raid until you don't really do anything. There's this like rule in just life. If you ever see a blinking button on a giant boss's fucking chest, you don't shoot it or do anything to it. Well, you know, us being curious guardians, we shoot it anyway. Um, so Axis gets. I said he was angry before. He's even fucking pissed now.
Oh yeah.
He's so mad, in fact, that he basically attaches himself to the platform he was on, and he grows these nasty fucking mechanical spider legs. Which, again, I think we all know how much I like spiders. So similar mechanics. But this time you actually get a damage phase because he's like teleporting around after the bomb throwing events.
Yeah.
Um, so once you jump on his back and smack him with your empowerment, everybody can do damage on him. Everybody grabs their favorite weapon. A lot of people used Galahorn at first, and then people found out, hey, I can get really up close and personal with this guy, and started using raise lighters and dark drinkers, which actually is really fulfilling.
Yeah, because for some reason they didn't give Access the same ability that they did every other boss in the game.
Yeah, there's no
Where
stomp.
he does, yeah, he doesn't do it like a large area of effect melee attack or anything like that that would
Nope,
kill
just
you.
space aids.
Yeah, just space aids. You have to stay out of the space aids. Damn Siva clouds.
Ugh.
But yeah, so people started using defender bubbles with
Yep.
weapons of light and the dark drinker, and you just fucking keep spinning inside the freaking bubble.
Yeah, you kind of erase his soul.
Yeah, it has the most DPS, even
Mm-hmm.
Black Spindle and everything included. Raise
No,
lighter.
he's moving around, so those spindle hits are hard to hit.
Yeah, but was that it for the raid?
Yep. That was it.
That was a quick rundown.
Yeah, I mean it
I like
goes
that.
pretty quick. Yeah. We
Yeah.
went yeah, afterwards we go to the pub, enjoy some beers. I was usually really drunk doing these raids, by the way. It's fun to do raids drunk.
All right, so we ready to go over some of the events now?
Oh, it had events? Shit. Let's go into them.
Well, not tied to Rise of Iron per se. I mean, they probably would have came out either way, but
Yeah.
yes, there were some events that followed the Rise of Iron. So, like we did with the Taken King, we're gonna touch on those real quick. Um, we got another Festival of the Lost, or Festival of the Cost. Some people
Ugh.
called it, which
Yeah.
you'll understand why once we go through the information here. But this one, I think it was actually the same time frame. It was available from October
Yeah.
25th until November 8th of 2016. One of the notable things with this Festival of the Lost was Sweeperbot.
Oh.
Sweeperbot lost its broom, and
Oh.
we do find it, but we don't give it back right away because we want to ride that bitch like a sparrow.
Yeah, that
Um,
was awesome.
It was really cool, but sadly, when the event ended, Sweeperbot got its broom back, and we no longer had that cool sparrow, which still kind
Greedy
of
son of
pisses
a
me
bitch.
off. Yeah.
I know, right?
If you held on to the raisins that you got from the previous Festival of the Lost, you got those from Eris Morn. You can actually turn them in, and this time around, you end up getting some celery. But sadly, there's no peanut butter that we got from anybody to make ants on a log. Just celery and raisins.
Hmm.
But as it commented, whether the celery will carry over to D2, literally unplayable. Yes, that's a colorful note there. I like how you put that in the fucking rundown. That's great. um, it wasn't just like the PvE stuff that got affected, like in previous events, save from Crimson Days, because that brought its own special PvP. Well, with
Yeah.
this Festival of the Lost, they actually altered Trials a bit too. And when you were playing Trials, there were no revives. Like once you were dead for that round, and there were no radars either. So imagine that, people camping around corners with fucking shotguns the entire time.
And they had little spiders that would crawl on the screen too once in a while.
Yeah, if you were aimed down sights for too long, eventually a spider would crawl across, and there would be like a rather, almost like a jump scare type sound, just to
Yeah.
get your attention real quick. It kind of did spook me the first couple of times, but then you just learn to expect it.
Yeah.
Um, and with the Festival of the Lost, they introduced two new ghost variants.
Oh, they're the
Um,
best.
One was the Ghost. It's literally your ghost wearing a sheet, so it
It's
looks
the
like a
best
ghost.
one.
It's fucking hilarious. And there was was it the Devil Ghost or Deviled Ghost?
I think it's deviled, like the eggs.
Deviled Ghost. Okay, yeah. So, and it had like little horns taped on it. It had a tail taped on it. Also, like I thought it was hilarious that you could see the pieces of like masking
Yeah.
tape holding the stuff onto it. Also, and of course, we're collectors in Destiny game, and everybody wanted them, but the drop rates on them were extremely rare.
Yeah, they're
Um,
really shitty.
yeah, and the first Festival of Lost, there was a flaming skull mask. Well, this one had a fire wolf mask, and that was exclusive to the Treasures of the Lost boxes that we got with this event this time around. And within the game, just playing the game, you got what, two free boxes?
Yeah, you only got like 2 free ones.
Like two free Treasures of the Lost boxes, and that was it. So unless you wanted to spend some money, you're only getting two boxes, and your chances of getting the things that you want, like some of the new exotic ornaments, some of the new sparrows shaders, the new ghosts, the fire wolf mask. If you wanted that
Good luck.
stuff, yeah, you would have to come out of pocket and buy some boxes, and the drop rates were freaking terrible,
Yep.
terrible. So I saw, because I watch YouTube videos and people streaming and shit like that. I saw people spend over $100 on these boxes and not get all of the items out of them. Like that's a lot of fucking Treasures of the Lost
Yeah.
to be opening up and not
Kind of
get
sucks.
everything. So that's why people call it the Festival of the Cost, because
Yeah.
you essentially had to spend money if you wanted all the special items that were made available.
But hey,
But
you still got a pretty cool broom.
yeah, you got a cool broom for the event time. But Bungie did learn from that experience, and it carried over into the Dawning and later
Yes.
the Age of Triumph. But the Dawning itself was a winter event, like we had one in 2015. This one went from December 13th of 2016 until January 3rd of 2017. And with the Dawning, we got some new armor sets and stuff like that. They revamped a few strikes, like the Nexus. Um, was essentially the same, but the boss encounter was a little bit different. There were some new mechanics. You either had to grab an Aegis, which was the shield from the Vault of Glass,
Yep.
and you would have to use that to take down a shield on the Nexus itself, or there would be, like, you would get marked just like you would by the oracles in the Vault of Glass, and you have to find the pool and cleanse yourself before you died. So that was basically the only changes with that. They brought back the Shadow Thief, so here comes Tanix crying again about he has no house and shit.
Yeah, but this time he's decided to he's even more machine than he was before.
Yeah, yeah. They did enhance him with Siva. And when you make it to the final encounter with Tanix,
Good Lord.
after, yeah, the ads. I don't know about you, but to me, the amount of ads that they spawned seem to increase.
It is a lot.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of ads that flood the room, and after Tanix takes a certain amount of damage, he gets a shield on him and is invulnerable. To take the shield down, you have to destroy Siva clusters that come up in the room at that time, and then he can deal more damage, and the whole rinse and repeat. Typical Destiny, rinse and repeat until he's dead.
But like this time, like I think they put the shields on him to like so you actually have to like deal with the ads before you could just fucking spam them and you take them down really quick without really having to deal with the ads.
People still try to just fucking spam them and not take out
Oh
ads.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I play Strikes with Blueberries. That's my one major complaint. Nobody kills the fucking ads.
Yeah.
I almost always have double the amount of kills than the other two people combined.
Yeah.
Because I kill the ads and they just focus on everything else or try to just run through the strike. Now, the last one that they brought back was the Will of Crota. I'm not exactly why they decided to bring this one back the way they did, but
yeah.
But the major change with this fight with Omnigul is the fact that you can't just hang out in the hallway anymore. The encounter doesn't officially start. At least I believe it doesn't officially start until you enter her room.
Yeah, you have to get into the room, yeah.
Yeah, and once you enter Omnigul's chamber, the doors close and you cannot go back out into the hallway. So you're trapped in there with her. It sounds like it's difficult, and it is kind of overwhelming the first time you run it, but if you...
It's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, if you just go straight across the room once you enter and stand on the edge of the bridge that she's kind of floating around on, you can just damage her while taking out thralls and curse thralls that drop down from behind her. And once you deal enough damage, she'll disappear, and she'll spawn some ads on the right side, some knights and acolytes. Take them out real quick, she comes back, you deal more damage, she disappears, and then ads on the left will come. Well, on the left side, you get 2 ogres that spawn on the ground level, and there's also one in the little hidey hole room where the knight used to spawn. There's a 3rd ogre up there that you have to take out. She comes back, and then you just waste her, basically, at that point. So it's really not hard, unfortunately. But I like it.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard, but I think this way was a little easier. They were a little more forgiving with it.
Yeah.
So that was the nice part. If it would have been like the old school like Omnigul with the two other wizards up there, it might have been that probably would have
been impossible.
Yeah, that would have been a very difficult encounter.
It would have been constant fire from wizards the whole time.
Well, also the Taken Knights. The yellow barred ones wouldn't have been fun.
No, not at all. With the Dawning, we also got two quote-unquote new exotics. I mean, they're new by name, but we've seen them before, essentially. If you ever fired...
I'll be right back. Something's happening outside. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hope everything's all right. But yeah, these exotics, if you ever shot the Thunderlord, you've handled these exotics before, because essentially it was just a void and a solar version of the Thunderlord. We got the Nova Mortis, which was the void one, and Abaddon, which was the solar one. I mean, it's very powerful weapons. I do like to use them on occasion, but not all that often, unfortunately. Zavala in the tower, instead of just being the Titan Vanguard, he now has his own bounties for us for the Nightfall. And this is where you can get Icebreaker Year 3 version, so to speak. because you complete these bounties from running through the Nightfall, and when you turn in the Nightfall bounties, that has a chance of dropping the icebreaker, and that's the only way you can get it. Some people still haven't. I got it kind of early on in the Dawning, so I didn't have to grind for it that much. But there are still some people seeking out Year 3 Icebreaker, even at this point in time. The Dawning also brought back SRL for good. So instead of it just being a timed event, you can play SRL anytime you want. But the caveat to that is the fact that you can only do private matches. Excuse me, with SRL. While the Dawning was happening, it would matchmake you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, when the Dawning event was actually happening, you could do SRL and it would match you with people. After the Dawning ended, though, you can only do private matches for SRL, but it's there. You can do it anytime you want.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
I've done it a few times with some noobs.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it all that much since the Dawning ended.
Yeah.
But at least I know it's there if I ever do want to. So on top of Zavala having bounties for the Nightfall, we also get the Vanguard Elite bounties and strike scoring.
Yes.
Woo! That was a very big addition for me because I love running strikes. I'll run strikes
fun
over
to be competitive too.
and over again. Yeah, who can get the highest score? Like there's medals that you get now from getting quick kills with your primary and your special. It makes you feel good seeing stuff pop up on the screen while you're doing these strikes.
That's right.
It's a very nice addition. As I mentioned previously, there's new armor sets. I still
Which
haven't.
looked great.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten a full set from the Dawning for any
I
of
think
my
I got
characters.
it for my hunter. I got the Loki helmet and shit.
Yeah. But there are also treasure of the Dawning. Well, treasures of the Dawning, rather. The only one that they didn't do that with was with the Age of Triumph, which we'll touch on here in just a moment. But yeah, in the treasures of the Dawning, you get them as you play the game. It's not just you only get 3, or you got what, 3 per week per account?
Something like that.
I think it was for doing the weekly Crucible, completing a Siva Crisis Heroic Strike, and the story mission. You get a box for from each one of them, and inside you got the weapon ornaments. I think this is when the ornament for Thorn came out, right?
I think so.
The White Rose one or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There were new weapon ornaments, and I think the White Rose, the Black Spindle ones came out too.
Yeah.
Also, we had a book for this one, a record book.
The Age of Triumphs. Yeah.
No, I thought we had one for the Dawning. I know we had one for Rise of Iron when it came out, so you can get all the cool shaders and shit, and the armor. But
you're right. Yeah, I still have to do, what is it, 7 more tricks in SRL to complete that book.
Oh man. Yeah, I got mine done. But this time you didn't have to pay for it, so that was a plus.
That was a huge plus. Yes.
Yeah. So
that was essentially it for the Dawning, though. I mean, you got the ornaments, you got the new armor set from those boxes, and anything else that they introduced with it.
It was a cool wacky shaders.
I didn't really like the shaders from the Dawning.
Yeah, I didn't much care for them either. The weird yellow, blue, and white. But after that, well, we're on our final road here. We're on the highway. We have the Age of Triumph, which actually had a preview and everything with the speaker actually saying something new for like the first time in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a nice little cutscene. It was really closed the loop. But this launched on March 28th of 2017. It increased the light level from 385 to 400. Actually, that happened with the hard mode raid for Wrath of the Machine. Sorry about that. You get
Up to
you got a
385, yeah.
yeah. Um, this in you got a 13-page record book. We'll get to that in a second. 390 version of Challenge of the Elders, the Flaming Head's return from your Nightfalls.
Yep.
You got a weekly featured raid and story missions, and for the updated older raids, they were all brought to 390. Each raid was upgraded with new ornaments, and the elemental primaries were back, and they fixed a lot of bugs for some of these raids. Well, they fixed a lot of the cheese spots. I won't say they fixed the bugs.
Yeah.
But the 13-page record book got you a bunch of I think it got you a bunch of emblems and cool shit, and then you could get your T-shirt at the end if you so chose. Yeah. I got the final member of our clan the T-shirt last Sunday when we finished Fall of Glass. But speaking of which, they added new challenge modes for the boxes. Of course, they fixed the cheese spots. You couldn't stand up the top and shoot down anymore. But for the Templar, you just had to prevent them from teleporting.
It's
And
much easier said than done.
I've never had too much of a problem with it. It's usually about three runs and we get it. It's you know, it's easier than the other one, which this one sounds really easy. It's all timing though. It's for Atheon, every guardian has to destroy an oracle once they get teleported. And we went over those mechanics in the very first episode, so if you want to know how that goes, go back and listen to that. But they drop like the hit points of the oracles, but everybody has to kill one whenever they're teleported, which that's a difficult one.
Yeah, it switches up in how you play the encounter entirely.
Yeah.
Instead of just 3 random people getting teleported, killing oracles, and coming out, the people that are left outside then have to go in through the portal in order to kill an oracle.
And like if you wipe, the encounter starts right away as soon as you not respawn, as soon as everybody comes back, which makes it really difficult to get a breather. But for Crota's End, you had to defeat the Death Singer within 2 minutes with a sword from the Sword Bearer. And in order to get to the Sword Bearer to appear, you have to basically unleash hell on every one of the ads outside of the Death Singer. And this one's always famous for people jumping the gun and throwing that grenade into the doorway for the Sword Bearer, and he just kind of stands there laughing.
Yeah. He
the
refuses
Crota
to come
one's
out of the door.
Yeah, he'll just fucking stand there and be like, "All right, I'm just gonna be here." Crota, this one's actually like really easy to explain. You just the same person can't you can't have the same sword bearer for damaging Crota. So usually we got it done with 2, but sometimes it took 3, which once you get to that 3 point, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, one big change with the Crota encounter also is every time he kneels, he summons an Oversoul. Instead of waiting for somebody to die and then summoning one comes up every time you make him kneel and do damage.
Yeah. And you couldn't stand in the center anymore and shoot rockets at him. You had to stand on either left or right.
Yeah.
There were no real changes to King's Fall. They just bumped it up to 390.
Made elemental primaries.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they had to make the actual elemental primaries for this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help most of them. Some of them are. I think the auto rifle ended up being a little better than it was before, but that was really it. Any interesting facts?
Interesting facts about this DLC? Well, the most interesting that we briefly touched on was the fact that this was developed by the Live team, which was responsible for things like Festival of the Lost and shit like that. Well, they put them to work on this DLC because I don't know about you, but I believe Destiny 2 was slated for release September of last year.
Oh, it was.
But
and they were like, oh, nope.
Yeah, they had to push it back to allow them time to get the polish on it and make sure everything was working the way that they intended. So they tasked the Live team with setting up this entire DLC pack, the Rise of Iron. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
And they did that from like the middle of January, if not early February, and then got it done and released by September 20th of the same year. So kudos to them for doing
Yeah,
that.
good job, guys. Well, yeah, they also like they basically did like a rolling release because you had the Rise of Iron, which in an Echo Chamber is a pretty small DLC, but then you had the Festival of Lost for whatever it was, the Dawning, which was a pretty good sized thing, and then you had
Yeah,
Age of Triumph. So good on them.
yeah, they kept their teams rolling and they got their work done. Rise of Iron may not have been what people were looking for come September of 2016, but what they gave us was really good.
Yeah.
Um, but leading into Rise of Iron itself, we started seeing like these
God, that was so
multicolored
awesome.
hazes floating around our heads, and on the side of the screen it started, saying some mysterious buff, and you look in your character menu and you see like the little icons there, like couldn't
Yeah.
figure what the hell was going on. But once Rise of Iron came out, um, it became more apparent because the only information we had prior to that was like these clusters or whatever were tied to this website for Owl Sector. And it was an ARG game that Bungie was playing with us. And you were smart enough. all the all the ARG things, like all the hints and clues, it actually produced a map. And
Yep.
that map allowed us to, well, allowed math class.
Yeah.
Dado does Destiny, that's his clan, math class. Um, they figured it out first. This map actually had something to do with that thing that Drake mentioned that was in the middle of the room, kind of looked like a cube. Well, yeah, you go into that room, you activate some things, you learn how to read binary, um, and that actually opens up the cube that's in the middle of that room. And there's monitors hidden throughout the fucking my god, the raid.
Wrath of the Machine.
Yes, Wrath of the Machine. My god, I can't think. Um, but yeah, you activate the monitors and it did nothing up until we found how to open up this cube, and lo and behold, you activate all the monitors, and that gives you the quest to then get the exotic weapon, Outbreak Prime, which I still haven't gotten.
Oh man, that sucks. I get it. Like this, I think the week after it came, or week after they figured it out.
Yeah, because it
Um,
took what, a month after the raid came out for them to
Not
figure
quite.
out
It was pretty quick.
everything.
It was 2 weeks, I think, something like that.
I don't know, 2 weeks, a month,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. My hardest part is getting a fire team with all three of the classes. I'm stuck on the first machine.
Oh, really?
I need a hunter and
All
a
right.
titan with me in a social
Yeah.
space to unlock the machine, and then I have to go play the raid. Then I have to do the second machine. Like I have so many steps left to do in the Outbreak Prime quest. It's not even funny, and
Optimus
I don't think
Prime.
I'll ever get it.
Wait for Destiny 2 to come out, then ask. See how
I've
well that
asked people
goes.
before to help me out with it, and it just never came to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love our clan, but our schedules are so much different. It's hard to get help with anything.
Need to recruit some late night birds or some people from the West Coast.
Who knows? But what about the music?
Well, they started off with a new opening theme, which actually sounded great. I don't think it's as memorable as like the original Vanilla or Taken King, but it
No,
still sounded good. The soundtrack was composed by Michael Salvatore. Sky Lewin, C. Paul Johnson, and Ratim Moab.
you're welcome.
Um, yep. Uh, but with the Age of Triumph, they stopped all the Bungie Please posts on Reddit because they changed it all the way back to the opening music of original Vanilla. So they kind of close that circle, and
I liked how they went full circle like that. That was
yeah,
cool.
it was really awesome.
They
Everybody
brought
was
back vanilla raids. They brought back
Yep.
the vanilla music. It was nice.
It was a good job on them.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing too notable in the voice acting. It was this just finding these two names were, or at least one of them was really hard to find. But Keith Ferguson did the voice of Lord Saladin, and Riva De Paola did the voice of Lady Ifrit. Yeah,
Nice.
good luck finding the voice actors for Shiro or Tyra Karn, because I looked everywhere for it.
That's not on IMDb.
Nope.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Well,
Um.
okay then. Any
Yeah.
Easter eggs or anything like that?
Well, I don't even think we went over him, but Randall the Vandal, who was this
Yeah, we
near
didn't touch on
indestructible.
him in
Yeah,
the vanilla
he's
episode.
well, he was a near indestructible fallen vandal in the beta, meaning like people actually had a really hard time killing this dude. Well, he came
Hmm.
back as Rondel the Perfected in the Wrath of the Machine raid, which I've talked to people, they haven't seen him. He exists because there's pictures,
Yeah,
but like he's
I've
like
come across
Bigfoot.
him.
Oh, you did? Damn it.
Yeah.
I did not. The sweeper bot can be seen making snow angels in the tower during the dawning. Um, and Peter Dinklage makes a brief return in the Dark Within mission when the ghost glitches and out of nowhere, the famous quote that "Wizard come from the moon" is done in the Dinklebot voice, which was a nice little like nod
Yeah.
because it became like a very it's not the explain type of type of line, but it became another kind of weird line that they used in the original one.
It's just how Dinklage delivered the
Yeah,
line. It just
delivery. Yeah.
sounds cheesy. But anyway,
Any behind the scenes stuff?
behind the scenes, it was a little bit. Just as we mentioned earlier, this is where we waved goodbye to the legacy consoles. The reason, as explained by the director, Christopher Barrett, he put it in quote, to continue to add new stuff, we would start to have to take things away. And so we really wanted to make sure Rise of Iron is the best experience possible. End quote. So essentially, in order to add Rise of Iron to PS3 and 360, they'd have to take away parts of the game in order
Yep.
to allow them to do that. And they didn't want to hurt anybody's experience just coming to Destiny for the first time or anything like that. So they cut away legacy consoles and gave us a kick-ass DLC. And one other one is Bungie reached out for a little bit of help,
Yeah.
which is smart. They had other development companies help them create some of the new armor for Age of Triumph and the Dawning.
You could definitely see it in the dawning. The dawning armor doesn't look like anything like Bungie had created up till that point.
Yeah.
It was definitely a fresher take on some of their armors, so that was a really good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Bungie would have to sign off on it because it's
Oh,
still
of
their
course.
game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But, um, yeah, High Moon Studios was one of them. Vicarious
Hmm.
Visions, I know, is doing the PC version for Destiny 2.
Oh, they're probably drinking a lot of liquor right now.
Probably, yeah. My overall experience, though, with The Rise of Iron was a very positive one. This was a point in time where I wasn't playing Destiny all that much, and this brought me back. Like, I wanted to get all the Siva offerings. I love the Archon's Forge. I spent so many hours in that forge. Lost many items because my postmaster was full and
Oh,
the
yeah.
engrams couldn't get sent over or what have you. But overall, it was really good. The Wrath of the Machine raid I thought was really well done. It was a nice mix of Vault of Glass type mechanics and action. And actually, I kind of fucked that up a little bit. Vault of Glass action mixed with some Taken King esque because it had
Yeah.
some
What they
mechanics in there
encounter.
as well.
Yep.
It was just a nice balance. It wasn't, stand here or you're gonna die, except for Vosik. Maybe you
Yeah.
have to get into the clean room on time.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, but
that's
they were
just
like, it was a shorter raid too, which was kind of nice.
yeah. I mean, world's first was 2 hours. Not even that
If
long.
that, yeah,
Yeah, it was a rather short amount of time before it was beat for the first time. And once you figure it out, it's pretty easy to get done, unless
yeah,
you get stuck with a bunch of ads and you get team shot by them and then you die, which happens. You know, it's a raid. But overall, yeah, really well done. I liked it. Worth the money, $30. I mean, you can
yeah.
get it the whole Destiny experience now for $60, I'm sure, if not cheaper,
It's usually
including
you can
Rise of
find a
Iron.
deal on it somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, we're exactly a month away from Destiny 2.
exactly. You could probably find it for $10 at this point.
Yeah,
I like this one too. It was well done. Taken like in just like the first month, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, that was fun. But like the overall experience through the release to now, this was definitely their most consistent release, with sending stuff out and communicating with the fans. So this was a good step forward in the overall process as opposed to just the game.
yeah. So we both enjoyed it, but how did the critics feel about it, though? How did the
Well,
critics feel about it?
uh, yeah, they were fairly positive. 72 out of 100 for PS4 on Metacritic, 73 out of 100 for Xbox One. But that was taken all in within that 1 month echo chamber too that I talk about. It's like
Mm-hmm.
just September, so like I said, fairly positive. Mostly focused, like the positives were like the nostalgia stuff, like the Kavastov and Galaran quests. The negatives really touched upon the shortness of the story missions, but I mean, yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah, basically. I mean, the story missions were kind of short, but they
Yeah,
told a pretty decent story still within that time.
just no damn Iron Lords on the raid. Ugh.
Yeah,
It probably would have been really difficult to code that, but I would have really loved it.
it would have been nice. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. As far as sales, though, I mean, did we get any information on that?
Yeah. According to research firm Super Data, Rise of Iron generated about 59.1 million in September 2016, which is
Wow.
more than the combined physical and digital of 47.5 during the vanilla version of the game's launch in September 2014. So it's a dead game.
Oh yeah. Outsold the vanilla.
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that. That is a pretty neat fact right there. Over $10 million more just with
Yep.
Rise of Iron.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Um, Not a whole lot of problems either,
no,
thankfully.
yeah, Festival of the Lost, but I mean we went over that
Yeah.
earlier, and really the only problem was like how unforgiving it was when it came to the RNG, which is random number generator for all you people that don't know what RNG is. That's basically how they do their items and stuff.
Yep.
But uh they took care of it with the dawning in the Age of Triumph, so people kind of forgot about the Festival of the Lost
Which is
after
good.
both of those. Yeah.
Which is very good. Um, so final thoughts. I mean, this is the wrap up for our mini
Yeah, this
series
is the
here.
wrap up.
Any
Yeah.
final thoughts on Destiny as a whole, or
I'm
anything that
not
we've
gonna play
covered?
it anymore. This is like once they go over to Destiny 2, I'm done with them. Fuck this game. No, I'm really excited. They we've seen the growth just by doing this, like how far it's come from like its initial vision.
Yeah.
And yeah, even like the studios acknowledged like the vision initially wasn't the greatest one, but they've really come around for doing things, and now we get like a whole year's worth of like content when it comes to like events, things to do with your friends, instead of, hey, you want to do Vault of Glass? Oh yeah, I guess. Hey, you want to do the Nightfall this week? Yeah, I guess. you know and
Yeah.
then 2 months later you're just like pounding your head against a wall, and it's like, hey, you want to jump in a private match and practice some stuff? Yeah, sure. Or you want to go do a raid, you want to do a strike, you want to do Nightfall, you want to go to the Challenge of the Elders. There's
Yeah.
a shit ton more to do now.
I agree. I completely agree. I mean, Bungie kind of put themselves in the corner
Yeah.
with them reworking the entire story, just so close to the launch of the base game. It took them a while to recover. With the Dark Below and House of Wolves, those were decent expansions, but still had their issues.
Yeah.
But they really caught their stride when they came up with the Taken King. That's when they gave us the Festival of the Lost and those events, and that's when it started becoming almost like a ritualistic type thing.
Yeah.
Like, it gives you a reason to want to play Destiny at any given point in time, whether it's the weekend for trials, whether it's when Iron Banner comes around once a
Come
month.
around, yeah, every month, yeah.
Like there's just seems like there's always something to do in the game now. Like you said, there's a lot more content to work through. Oh, I have extremely high hopes for Destiny 2. I mean, I think that's
I
how I'm gonna
think that's
wrap up.
everybody.
Yeah, but I think that's how I'm gonna wrap up my side of things for this episode. Is just going through because playing from the alpha of Destiny 1, like I've seen it all the transitions. I know what the grinding used to be for materials and what it's like now, and I understand why they made some of the changes. Do I wish some of the
Hmm.
grinding was still there? Of course, because I'm that kind of a player. Like I want to
Yeah.
have something to go after, and once you get enough of this you can upgrade that, and then you have to go back and work on this. But I understand people don't have a lot of time to put into these games, so they streamlined it a little bit, and it actually helped me. And now in my current situation, I have less time to play than what I did when the game first launched.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, and I'm just very excited for Destiny 2, especially being part of the beta. We know kind of what to expect, and it really seems like Bungie picked up all of the things that they've learned over the course of the past 3 years, and they're applying that to this new game that they're going to give us in a month.
Also, just
I'm
keep
excited.
learning.
Yeah, just keep learning.
Just keep learning.
Did you have any other final thoughts, or do you want to just see what game we're going to cover next week?
Let's see what we're doing next week. Let's
All
roll with
right.
it.
We're going into a game from the 2010s, according to
Good
random.org.
Lord. He
Yep.
really likes the 2010s.
And that's game number 32. If this is Destiny, I'm going to fucking die laughing. Nope, it's Mario Kart 8.
Oh, shit. Well, that'll be an interesting episode.
Yes, it will indeed.
Lots of cursing and probably broken friendships, just like in Mario Kart.
Ugh,
Blue Shell. Woo!
fuck that blue shell.
Stop being so good then.
Oh, I can't help it. All right. Well, Mario Kart 8 is what we'll be covering next week. Um, excuse me, but that is going to wrap it up here for part 4, and actually for the entire mini series. As always, has been MrBojangles 1984. You can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, basically everywhere that there's social media. I am MrBojangles 1984. And where can they find you, Drake?
On Twitter at Drakedangerson1, YouTube Drakedangerson, Twitch Drakedangerson, MySpace Drakedangerson,
Excellent.
Napster Drakedangerson. Yeah,
Good.
that's really where you can find me.
Okay. Well, excellent. Make sure you go out there, you slap a follow on the channels and the accounts. Don't forget to follow the podcast though on Twitter at GC Continuum. But thank you all very much for hanging out on Mixer, watching on YouTube, checking us out. The audio versions on Podbean or iTunes. We really appreciate all of that. We keep seeing an increase in downloads and views and such, so we must be doing something right, but we don't know for sure because we wouldn't know that unless you, the viewers and listeners, provide us with some type of
Yeah,
feedback.
give us that feedback.
Yes,
We're
and we're
big.
not talking about random noises in our ears because you're standing too close to an amplifier. Send us an email at gamecastcontinuum@gmail.com or tweet at us at GCContinuum because we're always looking to improve the show for you guys. We want to make sure you enjoy it. But that's going to do it for today. Thanks again for tuning in and each and every week. And we'll see you next Sunday for another great episode of GameCast Continuum.
Bye.
Peace out, guys.